Hi guys, and welcome to the Patches In podcast. Our podcasts are on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we also upload every podcast on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/patchesin. We're on Instagram at patchesinofficial, on our Twitch channel, Patches In Gaming. We're also on Twitter at patchesin, and our Facebook page is facebook.com/patchesinofficial. Visit our website at www.patchesin.com. If you want to email us any questions or comments, it's patchesinofficial@gmail.com. That's patchesinofficial@gmail.com. Thanks guys, enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 28 of the Patches In podcast. I'm your host Hamish and I'm joined by my friends Dom.
Hey guys.
Hugh.
Hi.
And Ross.
Hey guys.
Hope you're all doing well and thank you very much for tuning in. Ross, how have you been, mate? What's new?
Yeah, been grand, mate. Been grand. Just not an awful lot gaming wise or movies, TV programmes. I've had the new wee one to sort of look after, so she's taken up an awful lot of my viewing time, and consider little shit that she is.
Goddamn leeches, those babies, aren't they?
No, they. I've had the new wee one, and that's sort of taken up a lot of our social time. She's starting to get in a better routine now, so hopefully be able to get back into watching and gaming when everybody goes to sleep. So hopefully get back onto some new stuff.
Nice one. Dom, how have you been, mate?
I'll be good. Just waiting for some stuff from work to get sorted. I'll now be one of the people working from home as of next week. So I'll be doing some work-related stuff over the phone. So I'll be teletrained, which I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. But hey man, if I can get money from it, I'm going to do it. Game-wise, played a couple of games. Yakuza, moving out, had a wee go with that. Really disappointed that doesn't have like a multiplayer, because an online multiplayer, because it would be brilliant.
Yeah, especially this time where no one can really go and hang out with your mates. Like
you were talking about it, I was like, oh man, let me see, it can't be that much fun then if they've not added that in, and it's like online. You can imagine the chaos you would have with it, and like just catching up on some TV shows. Just like the occasion. I've been sort of binge watching Scrubs again. Just on
nice.
And off. And then because of that, all I've been doing is been looking for clips on YouTube, and all my recommended's just all these clips from Scrubs. So that's been fun just to sort of go through that. But yeah, all good otherwise, man.
Nice one. Hugh, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I've finally moved everything between the two rooms in my house, so now I have a kind of fully set up games room. I haven't been playing much games other than Streets of Rage 4, which I must say is very good, and Undertale, which I was streaming last night on our twitch.tv/patchesingaming. But I've been listening to a lot of podcasts because I'm doing a bit of walking to try and get out of the house. There's a lot of like the episodes of TV show podcasts, like The Sopranos watch along, Community's got a watch along called The Darkest Timeline, and Scrubs has got one as well. So I'm spending a lot of time listening to those because it's pretty interesting. Other than that, nothing.
Is the Sopranos one, is that the cast as well?
Yeah, it's Michael, I'm going to butcher this, man. Michael Emporio. You know what? Never mind. Michael something.
Michael.
The guy who played Chris Moltisanti, and one of the other characters is host. Now I don't actually know their names because they're very hard to say.
Seems to be quite the thing now. There's The Office are doing one as well. A couple of lasses from The Office. Like quite a lot of shows seem to be doing like a kind of watch along episode by episode podcast. It's interesting.
The weird one about the Community is it's Joel McHale and Ken Jeong, and like Ken Jeong was a doctor, so at the start he just talks about like coronavirus for like half an hour, telling everybody like new facts and stuff like that, breaking down like stuff that like studies and stuff has been released. So it's pretty interesting to hear that crazy man is actually really smart.
Yeah. Because like, the majority of movies I remember seeing him in, he always played a doctor.
He was kind of typecast as a doctor for a while. Yeah,
it was really strange. He was like Knocked Up as a doctor. He was other sort of comedy movies. It seemed like he was just there as like the straight-faced, no-nonsense doctor.
I only remember him in The Hangover.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's in The Hangover, but he wasn't a doctor in The Hangover.
No, he wasn't.
No. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
He's so funny, man. That's it, really. Podcasts and very little gaming.
So, did you manage to steal any techniques that they do to improve our awesome podcast, make it more awesome, or
Not really. I think a lot of the podcasts I listen to are just off the cuff, which this one is as well. But we do a little bit of editing.
I'll need to edit that bit.
We don't, but no, like it's just sitting talking and telling stories. So that's it. And the stories from these people are super interesting, unlike Dom's.
Yeah, mine's also boring. They don't involve enough Hugh.
We need the grounded one, the boring grounded one to make us all look a lot better.
I'm interested, damn it.
How about yourself, Hamish? How's things been for you?
Yeah, not bad. Still working away, but we're doing everything we can to make it bearable. I actually had a wee barbecue today in work. Not any of the animals didn't mash up, obviously.
That was such a horrible.
Can't get rid of these rabbits or hamsters. Can't find a home for them. It's like, I've got an idea. Disposable barbecue. I've been playing Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, which is the new PlayStation VR one. Well, I think it's been out on the other VR systems for a while, but it's recently came. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. It's just as you'd expect. VR killing zombies. It's awesome.
I remember watching some of the VR footage for the PC, and obviously with the new Oculus Rift, you can have fingers, like you can get full control of all your fingers and stuff, and people are using it to like grab the head of the zombie and then like drive the knife into the side of the skull and then just throw them away and stuff. Does it have the same sort of feel when you're playing it on the PlayStation? As much as you can't use all your fingers, can you still like grab their head and punch them in the face and stuff?
Yeah, you can still grab them. Sometimes you have to because the durability of your weapons is just terrible. Like a spoon, you can only use that to brain like 2 zombies.
Gouge eyeballs.
But I saw a guy. I've yet to try it, but like, he grabs a zombie with his left hand and then he throws the spoon up in the air and then catches it again and then puts it in. People are trying to be dead creative with their kills, which is pretty cool. It's like Zombieland, Zombie Kill of the Week. That is a lot of fun. That's all I've really been playing. I've started watching that Gangs of London, which is like a Sky production, a British gang TV show. I've only seen the one episode, but it looks promising. It's pretty high budget. There's a fight scene right at the end of the first episode as well. The choreography is pretty amazing. It's pretty brutal though, so it looks promising. It looks pretty good. And obviously Rick and Morty has started up again, so I've seen the 2 episodes of that. It's started up. Right, lads, I'm going to spark a weekend before we get into the news because there's actually quite a lot of pretty interesting news after recently there's been a bit of a drought, or it's just been bad news. So let me spark this can and we'll see where we're going to start. I think we should start with there was the graphics demo on the Unreal 5 engine run on the PS5. Did you guys have a look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
It looked next gen. It looked very next gen.
Defo. It's 100% been the first thing that we've seen that is convincingly next generation footage.
PlayStation showed you some logos. They showed you the PS5 logo and then they showed you the PlayStation 5 Studio logo, or the PlayStation Studios. This is the slowest fucking build up to a console release ever.
Even that, all they've done there is just basically announced that they've been, Microsoft can gather everybody together and put it under one roof. So can we, PlayStation Studios.
I thought they had that anyway. I thought they had like PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment, like Europe and like America, and they all came under them studios. I don't know.
They didn't make a big announcement about it though, so that's.
Oh, they don't want to make an announcement.
They will obviously all be affiliated, but I think it's just to try and make more solidarity between all of the sections of it.
PlayStation's saying that this is going to be, or Sony's saying this is going to be what the PlayStation 5 is going to look like.
Capable of, I think.
Yeah, but like that's not a game. That's just a video. At that point,
it's not even. No, they've said so. In when we were watching that, what they had said was that that's actually that's the tech demo that's coming out with the developers kit of the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, so expect something under that, but it still looks good. Yeah,
that's very limited to what there is to it. I mean, if that's all there is that's in that's one level. I'm pretty sure you could fit.
I'm still quite cynical about a lot of it though, because like you've seen what happened with like the new generational games that were all promised, and when they came out, they were very lackluster. Hence, that's why I kept saying triangles. Remember when he kept pushing triangle, triangle. There's one pixel for each triangle, and I'm like, this is buzzwords, guys. Come on, you're better than this.
Yeah, it's all PR hype right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So again,
like, with those Fortnite buzzwords. Yeah,
they could not get Fortnite out of their mouths, man. It was like the big dick Fortnite was just slamming right down on them.
Well, it's Jeff Keighley. If it's not Fortnite, it's Mountain Dew and Doritos.
But then Jeff was kind of like, okay, could we talk about? He's like, Fortnite and mobile gaming and gaming and gaming and mobile gaming, and then
multi-platform.
And then you look at the side of the chat when people were just like, are they going to talk about anything else? Where these old white guys with glasses are just spouting out nonsense rather than telling people what they kind of want. Like, what have you got in development? Yeah, it's nice to know that people that are working with Unreal 4 can just basically asset jump to Unreal 5. And it's like a lot of like I would help with a lot of crunch, really.
We'll probably see a next gen Gears, maybe a Gears 5 remaster, because that's a
5.5.
Yeah, like
that. But then that makes sense maybe why now that you're getting with the Halo, the new Halo game, or the Assassin's Creed game is now coming out with can upscale to the new console, because if they're working with certain engines, maybe it is easy just flicking on a switch or adding in extra data.
Yeah, which is big patches. I'm not going to believe any of this stuff until you see it in your hands, because these companies lie to you constantly. Like, the PlayStation 4 wasn't a huge jump for the PlayStation 3, even though the pre-release footage showed like all these extra features. Like, remember the Watch Dogs trailer? So like, in the Killzone 2, I think they did that with the jump from the PS2 to the PS3. Like, there's all these. It's all just PR spin.
But then, like, all you need to do is, like, they had that controversy at the start of the generation and at the very end with Spider-Man. Remember, people were complaining how Spider-Man's final production didn't look anything like they teased.
Yeah, it still looked good.
Look at the puddles. Look at they even got the puddles there with the reflections, and you're like, I mean, I know that's a bit like, extreme for it, but
of all the games, all the E3s that have been in the past, how many games have actually come out? And I mean, like AAA titles. How many of them have actually come out 100% with what was showed at E3?
Unless you're
Nintendo. It never happens, man.
Unless you're Nintendo.
But Nintendo don't push graphics and size.
They don't go out there to show off how fantastic something looks. They go out there to show, look, this is the newest installment, and this is what it looks like now. And there's not really a big massive, and just their style. Yeah. Now the release games isn't, but but not fair point.
Mario, he's a Zelda. They'll shut up and give us money.
They don't really push the boundaries, but what they do, they're more creative in the way they make games.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of this stuff's just advertisement. Right, until you buy it.
40p, Hugh.
1440. The thing is with this though, the thing with this though is that this isn't what we've seen today. As much as it was, they were talking about PlayStation. It's the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Is what the demo was. As much as they said, this is us displaying it on PlayStation 5, it's still the engine for Unreal 5.
Yeah, it's more of a showcase for that than anything else.
I mean, obviously, it's obviously in some form of partnership, because I think he even tried to question, how is this going to look on other consoles? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, it'll be good on everything that we put it on. So I think he just sort of
what other
dodged
consoles?
I know.
How do I not advertise the Xbox and answer the question?
I think
the question didn't even have Xbox on it.
I think he said that. Well, it'll work on anything multi-console and on iOS and Android for the mobile games. So there was a lot of
Blizzard's paycheck paying off there. And they're like, oh yeah, just to talk about mobiles, so we can try.
You guys still have phones.
Some of the stuff that I'd picked up away from that video in regards to the engine itself and stuff that we're talking about, that it's got the light. And I can't remember the exact term for it, but they were saying basically that it's completely adaptive now, so you don't have to spend hours with a team of people trying to light a level properly, because it's got this UI with the light that's basically going to do it all for them. So if you crack a hole in a ceiling, it no longer needs that a whole team has to then
figure out the light beams. Yeah,
you don't have to figure out where the light's going to be and how that's going to affect the different items in the room. The light itself will automatically match whatever it is it's bouncing off of, due to triangles and nanites and whatever else it was they were saying.
And again, it was going to help the fact that if you do need to do that, like it's less man hours trying to figure out something that you can now just click away.
Yeah.
It's made it easier for developers, and I think you were saying, Ross, like with the independence and all that, it was very interesting to see how the indie games would do on Unreal 5. And I was like jokingly said, or maybe what about the new Sonic game that would come out on that?
I know, it's definitely going to be the upgraded Minecraft. We're going to Minecraft and Unreal Engine 5, you know.
Minecraft 2.
Now with real liquid simulations or some shit, I don't know.
Well, we might see the old Unreal Engine 3 and 4 games getting quick remasters or quick remakes. I don't know what you call them at that point.
Just, well, like what Dom was saying earlier on, like if you've got the whole, if it is just as easy as importing an old Unreal Engine 4 file into Unreal Engine 5, then surely any game that's been produced on Unreal Engine 4 should be able to be put into Unreal 5 and upscaled. Yeah, and it'll just be a massive patch, but you know, if they can do that.
Then you'll get things like, I mean, there's a remaster of Saints Row the Third coming out, and it looks, you know, obviously better, but they're charging like 30 odd quid for it. And where do you draw the line of? It's obviously not a new game. It's literally just a remaster. It's just an upscale. So where do you draw the line of how much you should charge for it and stuff like that, and then what's really worth making? Yeah.
So what we need to do is wait till everybody forgets that it is just an upscale and that nobody's had to actually work on it to be able to make it better. So therefore.
Yeah. This is the confusing thing with these new upscales, remasters, and the Xbox One X's patches, right? So I was going to buy Vanquish, like the Bayonetta Vanquish double pack, but they've been patched on the Xbox One X to be enhanced, and I'm like, right, so what is the difference now between the enhancement and the remaster? Like, surely they should have the same features. But I don't think they do, because I think Vanquish Remaster is 60 frames per second, and I don't think it is on the Xbox One X. Like, so this is now getting confusing with maybe 3 or 4 different versions of a single game. So they're going to have to start making new words up, and not just remakes and remasters.
There has apparently been a rumoured release date. Obviously, it's been mentioned before, holiday 2020, but some people have been saying that it's going to be October, near the end of October, that it's actually coming out, which to me seems a wee bit early for, holiday.
Don't consoles usually come out in November anyway, so it's not really a big jump.
They obviously usually come out before the Christmas periods just to capitalise on, oh, my grandson says he wants a new Nintendo, and it's like, there's not a new Nintendo, old lady, it's PS5. Like, oh, that must be that one then, son. Another interesting thing, though, is apparently Sony have said the distribution and the release date is unaffected by the current situation with COVID-19. Hopefully that's true, but I don't think you fully believe that, do you, Hugh? You wee suspicious eyes going there.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless they started building it, like doing the manufacturing before this all kicked off, I think they're going to struggle. They struggle at the best of times to release as many as they need. Like, at the start of any console generation, there's massive shortages of the consoles, be it fucking PlayStation 4, except Xbox One because no cunt wanted that. Wii, like, these popular things, they'll disappear at the shops so quickly that I don't think that they're being truthful when they're saying that there won't be a shortage.
What it was that they said was specifically that the acquisition of the hardware has not been affected. That's not been a problem at all. It's nothing to do with worried about getting it to shops or distribution centres or anything like that. It's getting the hardware to actually build them. They've said it's specifically not a problem.
Well, Microsoft and Sony are using pretty much the same parts to build their consoles, so I don't know. I just see it as one of those like, oh, don't worry, it's coming. Like,
I feel, Hugh, like you're caught in a trap and you can't get out.
Yeah. I just don't believe big companies when they say things. They've lied to me so much.
You're a sceptical boy, yes.
Yeah.
I can get on together with suspicious minds.
Reading the details on it, like both parties, Microsoft and Sony, are both adamant that the launch of their consoles will not be affected. So,
yeah, I mean, it's...
How do you take that? Do you take that as, like, it's definitely coming out on that day as much as there's only going to be 5 for us to sell, or we're definitely going to be able to meet demand and the console will launch on time as expected? Like,
I would say this because, like, see, like, the Asian market has improved dramatically since COVID-19 has, like, sort of went down a lot through there. So manufacturing is up. So it's not unlikely that they're behind in product. It's going to be a case of, can people afford it? Than anything else, that's a big factor, I think, more than anything.
Well,
It's also
I do remember us specifically talking about the PS5 before, though, and the fact that there's probably going to be less demand for it because of the price of it. It's I think they said something like it's going to be like a proper hardcore gamers console. It's not as casual as the 3 or the 4 or whatever. So they maybe aren't anticipating as much demand as the previous consoles. So maybe they think we'll be able to get it out no problem because they won't need to make as many.
I think
we're using the PS4s or PS4 Pros for their current game usage, Netflix usage, YouTube usage, anything like that.
I'm just reading a wee bit here, and it says that Sony are quite happy to let their sales figures prove whether or not the quiet promotion is going to beat Microsoft or not. So they're quite happy. It says Sony PlayStation 5 says PlayStation 5 sales will prove whether its quiet promotion of its next-gen console will beat rival Microsoft. They remained relatively quiet about the PlayStation 5 plans, revealing some specs, a logo, a controller, no full console reveal yet.
It's the fucking slowest striptease in history.
I know. They're saying that in comparison to how the Xbox is going just now, they're just saying wait for the sales before you make any judgment, basically.
I think
Don't count your chickens until they've hatched, or whatever it is.
I think it's PlayStation's race to lose, obviously, because of the massive lead they've got with PS4, but it's going to be fought on, I think, the Game Pass. I think Game Pass might make a big difference.
Yeah, because when you're doing the Xbox Enhanced as well, if that's coming as a feature.
Yeah, and all the backwards compatibility and stuff like that. And
it'll be killer.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference.
PlayStation don't release backwards compatibility on PlayStation 1 titles, man. That's a huge...
They've only announced PlayStation 4, and they can't do PS3. They can't do PS3 backwards compatibility. But
I think we've talked about how hard it would be to do that before, but...
Yeah, but they could do PS1 and PS2, but they don't. They want to sell you those games again. They don't want to put them on a service or anything.
You see the way that I'm looking at it now, right? They make no money off of them. They make zero money off them. There's no way that anybody is buying those games on next gen. There's not enough of them available, is there? I mean, they don't have...
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to start showing some weird PlayStation 1 games there. I was like, what was he going to say? Hugh's going to check. Pull out one here quickly.
Chrono Cross!
There we are!
It's also an American game that I can't play. Because I can't get my PlayStation.
I think that at the moment, they don't lose anything if they put it onto a service. Do you know what I mean? If they put all those games onto a service, what are they losing on top of what they've got just now? They're not.
You say that
anything from it.
Nintendo. Oh, sorry, Dom.
So we were saying that the last time with Streets of Rage 4. But we were saying that they sat on that property for so long, Sega, and you're like, well, why didn't they capitalise on this sooner? Was it 26 years we said here?
Yeah, 26 years since Streets of Rage 3.
Sometimes you just don't know what they're thinking, and generally it's if it's coming from Japan for it, they're just like to have the licenses theirs just in case. So a lot of the times, Sony is a Japanese owned company, so maybe there'll be issues to do with licenses for that.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you as well. I'm like, well, why won't you release it? Because there is a demand. There is a demand for those games.
Yeah, huge.
Is it? Maybe it's just in their culture. They're just like, you know what? We don't need that money right now. We can wait that until later down the line, like Nintendo used to do before they started doing remasters and that. Or they do their nice supply and demand where they're just like, okay, so you want 10,000 Switches? Okay, here's 3,000. No, but we need 10. That's 3,000. You sell them, no bother. Aye, but the demand's 10,000. We'll try to get it to you. And then
don't worry about that. Yeah, the demand will make good headlines. It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Like Amiibo.
See, just on anniversaries, by the way, just when you're saying not anniversaries as such, right? But see, you're saying that it's been 26 years. I just found out the other day, I believe it's the 15th anniversary as of, I think, yesterday, of Leroy Jenkins.
You know, my brother had only discovered that 2 weeks ago. He was like, oh man, I seen this hilarious video. It's like you and your weird pals play. And I'm like, alright, what is it? And they put it, I'm like, I've never played World of Warcraft before, mate. He's like, I want to play it now. I want to be Leroy, man. I went,
Imagine just
like
finding
8 years old, mate. And then now you saying that, Ross, man. That
15 years old.
Hamish, were
So-
you playing Warcraft, or was it yourself, Ross? I see someone that was on.
Ross has been playing it recently, I think.
I've
I played it on and off for years and years. You can actually get you get titles now, so you can put them like prefix or a suffix on your name and stuff like that. And Jenkins is one of them, so you can have your name and then Jenkins just as an homage to Leroy, which is pretty cool. To move on to our next thing, something that we actually kind of touched on when we were talking about the prices and things like that, and Sony versus Xbox when it comes to sales and things like that. Apparently, Michael Pachter said in an interview with Jeff Keighley, Xbox are very likely to be prepared to take a hit financially when it comes to making the new Xbox Series X cheaper than the PS5. He suggests up to about $100 worth. So I believe that the PS5 will be about $500, so £400-ish, just over for UK people. And what he is suggesting is that they'll take $100 off of that, and obviously they'll need to make that up themselves. The first 10 million or so sales cover that, but obviously, hopefully in the future, recoup that.
Microsoft have been doing
recoup
that forever.
Well, I would think they would recoup it probably for accessories like controllers and all that. I mean, because how much are you still paying for a PS5 controller or an Xbox One controller? They're still up at like £60, which I think is still fucking ridiculous. But the Xbox especially, you still have to put batteries in it. Does my nothing.
That's a usual thing for a lot of console makers. Nintendo was the only one that wasn't doing that. The PS3, Sony were making a huge loss on, and PS2s and stuff like that. Like, they're trying to make it back through games, but
Exclusives.
I think it's going to obviously be making it back through subscriptions this time. Like your $10.99s or whatever it is a month for Game Pass Ultimate. So that's what they're probably looking at.
What are you thinking, Hamish?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible. Like, it's not as if Microsoft are short of money. So if they really wanted to, then they absolutely could. They've kind of got the upper hand when it comes to that. They can sit and wait out Sony as long as they need to. And I think that is the plan. Wait and see what Sony say the PlayStation 5 is going to, ship as retail price wise. And then it's really up to them if they decide, we'll sell it for about the same and, hope for the best, or if they want to undercut, then they absolutely could. I think they probably will, to be honest. Like, even though that the hardware is very much the same, I think Xbox or Microsoft will probably just, at least, maybe not to the extent of $100, but I think they will try to undercut them a wee bit just to make it seem like the more viable and the more, attractive offer.
Yeah. And most consumer friendly for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, people just look and they'll go, well, I can save $100 or £100 off of that. Yeah, I'm going to go for that. And again, you look at it, if it's basically the same, apart from maybe the solid state drives that are in it, where Microsoft have got their own ones, where Sony, you can basically put any solid state in. And I mean, the only people that would know that are like in gamers that are into their games, not like, Joe Public.
the Xbox got faster RAM as well. But the only time Microsoft have ever tried to sell a console for a profit was the Xbox One original.
Okay, sorry, the Xbox One or the Xbox One console?
The Xbox original one or the Xbox One original? For the Xbox.
No, Xbox One, not the
See?
Xbox One S.
They never thought ahead.
What's that?
It's the Xbox One big VCR model. Like, that was they cheaped out on building it and tried to make a profit on it, and it didn't work. And then they went back to their old model and made the S and the X, sold them for massive losses. Like, the X is a huge loss for them because of the ultra high definition drive, the 4K Blu-ray drive. Like, that was like $300 on its own.
Yeah.
Like, that was a lot. That's why Sony didn't put it in a PS4 Pro.
Yeah. And then they did the Xbox All Digital as well, or the Xbox One S All Digital, or the Xbox SAD, as we call it.
Yeah.
See what you're saying there about the Blu-ray drive as well. Like, I remember people coming into Game Station when I'm up there and buying PlayStation 3s for the Blu-ray player because at the time it was the cheapest Blu-ray player on the market.
Yeah.
Like people were going, they were like, oh well, go to Argos and buy a Blu-ray player. You're talking, an extra 100, 150, 200 pounds. Xbox came out with a lower price gap. I think Xbox will start off with the lead.
I don't know if they both get released at the same time. I still think people will go for the PlayStation over the Xbox, just because of reputation.
Yeah, but you need to remember that when it's coming out around Christmas time, if the Xbox is cheaper, you're going to get a lot of parents that are like, shit, what new console will I get? Oh, that one's £100 cheaper.
I would also listen to their kids who had PlayStations.
Speaking from experience with trying to sell them to people, it was always, what do your kids' pals have? Honestly, it's literally what does anything else have? Because there's absolutely no point in buying a console for somebody whose pals are all playing PlayStation and vice versa. Like, I've done it myself. I bought PlayStation 3 when it first came out because I was like, oh, cool, new console. Buying a PS3 Blu-ray player and all that stuff was all sold to me. Bought it.
Everyone's on the 360.
Everybody that I knew bought the 360. Like, everybody upgraded from, like, they all had PlayStation 2s and Xboxes, and then every one of them went for the 360. And I think I had the original big boy PS3, the big 60 gig, and I took him back in at a fucking loss to myself and bought an Xbox 360, which I then stuck about with and had for fucking yonks until the upgrade came, and I think it was partly Hugh and partly one of the guys I worked with, and we were like, fucking PlayStation 4, go with the PlayStation 4.
So yeah, a lot of that news that we've had recently is a wee bit uncertain. It's not definitive, but we have had some good news recently, and it's actually very refreshing considering how many delays and things like that there have been in 2020 overall. But we've had quite a few release dates given to us. Speaking of October, with the PS5 rumored release date, Black Widow, Marvel film, first Marvel film in a long time.
Yeah.
What feels like a long time. Yeah.
And the words of Big Jason, it's been a while.
But apparently that's going to be 28th of October in the UK. We obviously we get it a wee bit earlier.
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Look at Dom just dropping that in so that you don't forget.
I'm not buying it.
Buy me it. Buy me Black Widow.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not like buy you Black Widow.
Yeah, we can get one of those like cutouts, like a life-size cutout of Scarlett Johansson. Just don't cut any holes in it, Dom, right?
Hey.
Yeah.
I think cinemas will be open by then.
I think so.
I don't know. There's a guy in my work who's already fucking booked up holidays for the end of June. I'm like, you're fucking hopeful.
Really?
Yeah, that's optimistic,
you know
mate.
That guy's a hero.
Do you know what? Right? So, for those possibly at home that don't necessarily know, I work with NHS, right? I'm not necessarily say exactly where, how, or why, right? But this gentleman that I work with is all like, yeah. The reason I said I work with an NHS, right, is because we deal with patients, right? I deal with patients. So, we are perfectly aware of the scenario and how good or bad it might be. And this gentleman, who is on the same fucking level as me, knows exactly the same scenario that we're in. And he's like, yeah, because businesses can't be staying shut, and they need to do things for the businesses, and they're not going to be able to stay shut till then. So at that point, they're going to be open. And Boris has already said that England's good to travel, so he's the Prime Minister of the UK, so he'll just open up Scotland for us, and we'll just be able to we'll be fine to travel. Once we get by the border, who's going to stop us? And I'm like, it's not as to who's going here, who shouldn't. It's about your fucking morals, mate. You should just fucking know.
Where's he going? Where's he booked up for?
Fucking B&B in Blackpool or some pish. I don't fucking. It's shite holiday. It's shite. It's not even like it's the fucking Ritz or it, and it's literally going to be some caravan park or a B&B or some other pish.
Some people are weird.
Something not necessarily worthwhile, but I don't think that it's going to be as soon as that. I think that from the way that they're talking and things with the schools and that, it's easily going to be August or something before.
I'm optimistic just because it's released near my birthday, and I always have good luck. So you heard to get first, guys. It's going to be gone by October. Another
interesting release date that we've had: Iron Man VR, July 3rd, not too far away.
Hello, Hugh.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Actually, I'm trying to get back into VR. I've set it up in the games room with a lot bigger space, so I can actually play it because the living room was just too packed tight with couches and other things you need to live and not VR. And Sinead just going, what? Stop playing games. Let's do something else. I'm like, nope, I play games. So,
how dare you?
Yeah. So
I bet you're just like, Sinead, it's research. It's research for my second work, the Patches In podcast. It's totally legit. This isn't a hobby. This is work for me.
Sinead is very supportive of all my ventures, but she's not Danny and does not listen to this. Did that panther just walk by there, Tom? Paige walked by and it looked like she was like a big cat. Anyway,
well, we've already seen Jason Baloo walk by, so it must be Bagheera.
Bagheera. Does that make me Mowgli then? Fuck.
Yeah, Iron Man VR, it should be good. I don't know. I always worry about VR games because you think, are they just cashing in? Is it actually going to be any good? But remains to be seen.
especially because the Iron Man film games were pretty bad.
I mean, that's not going to stop me from buying it. It's Iron Man and it's VR. I'm going to be buying it, but still.
I've been debating for ages whether or not I wanted to get into VR, but if I was going to, I don't have the PlayStation, so it would need to be through the laptop. I need to do it through PC, and I couldn't not get the Valve Index, isn't it? No, the new Valve's got the finger tech on it. So no, the Index, I think it is Valve Index is the newest one. I mean, I'd have to get that, and we're talking like £700 for that. I can't justify in the same year paying £700 for a VR and then picking up the Xbox Series X at the end of the year as well. Sorry, my wife will not allow me to spend that. I want it, therefore I will get it. But
we have a newborn baby, and you're like, but VR.
I can have many newborn babies.
I like how we never even mentioned that. It wasn't like the massive outlay cost of having a new child. It was just like, a console and VR. Like, that's a lot.
quick segue back to the PlayStation 5. The VR for that is meant to have finger. I don't know what you call it. The controller for the fingers.
What game do you really need the use of every single digit for?
Well, that's the thing, Hamish. They will make us one.
So what I've seen of the development from the Valve Index and some of the stuff, so the Corridor Crew, they released their game. Cannot for the life of me remember what it is right now. But
did you get to sit on the couch and watch them watch films?
So what they were talking about when it came to like the whole finger tech thing was it wasn't just that you could use one finger, two finger, three. You could totally separate each finger and do it, but it also meant that because it was a grip, it meant that it could actually detect how strong you were holding the controller. So when it came to a bit of wood in your hand, if you wanted to slide your hand up the bit of wood but not let go of it, or slide it down your hand, you have that control of being able to apply different pressures to your grip. So it's not just that you can use all your fingers, it's that you can do different things with it. So you can stroke away all you wanted if you really,
I was going to say
I was watching Hugh waiting for him to fucking buy with something. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this conversation was destined to go there. What I was thinking was like learn to play guitar. You need each finger for that, and something like Rocksmith or something like that. You could actually learn chords on a guitar.
Dom can finally learn how to play guitar.
Maybe one day.
You need more dexterity than just
Well, piano then, maybe something like that. I'm just spitballing here, Ross. Right? Trademark Patches in 2020. I think it's been long enough, lads. I need to spark another weekend. I actually had a wee sneaky one that I was opened very, very silently, just so that people don't think I'm an alcoholic. Who am I kidding? Like, everyone knows by now. But
this podcast is just a fucking recording of you slowly killing yourself.
Should have called it the Spark Us In podcast. That'll be my next solo one instead of Ham Solo. Spark Us In. So speaking of VR, the things I'm just going to touch on briefly. There's a Star Wars one coming soon. I mean, that's VR was just made for that. And there's Gorn, which has been it's fairly old, in the terms of VR games, but that's coming to PSVR soon as well, which is basically just like a weird arena fighting game.
If they got the Beat Saber guys to get the feeling that they've got for their lightsabers, like now when you kind of cross the beams and there's the vibration and stuff like that, that's all pretty cool. They should do that.
Yeah, you feel a bit of feedback and stuff like that. Yeah.
I love Beat Saber.
There's absolutely amazing VR games out there, and there's like the Saints and Sinners. I think has been a massive step forward. Alex, the new Half-Life game, has been phenomenal. Again, totally utilising the whole. What? Sorry.
I've been hearing good things about that.
It looks phenomenal. Like, again, I've also heard some bad things about it. The puzzles in it are almost impossible because of the method and how they want you to be able to. It's to do with the movement of the controller. Yeah, it's to do with the movement of the controller and being able to work with. I think it's a sphere in this virtual reality, and you're trying to move a thing around the sphere using the handset. And I think that has been causing a lot of bother for some people. But
is that coming out on PlayStation, or is that just staying? PC?
There are rumblings of it. I don't think it's been completely confirmed, but people are saying it is probably going to be.
Just downgrade that shit.
Yeah, I think it needs a fair amount of downgrading in order to get it onto there. But there's loads of stuff, including obviously the Iron Man VR. But skeptical. It's another movie franchise tie-in. You know how well fucking computer game variants of movies fucking work. Like, has there been a good movie that's became a computer game, not vice versa? Because
X-Men Origins Wolverine,
the movie's terrible. That was amazing. I have to admit, that was really fun.
Got you.
That was cool.
One quick off the bat.
I knew what he was going to say.
He's been waiting for an opportunity to pull that one out of the bag. He's like, if anybody ever says what movie was a shitty computer game, he's going to be like, X-Men.
I'm sure there was more. GoldenEye?
The Spider-Man games.
But they're not directly movies.
Some of them.
Even the older ones.
Spider-Man.
What
you say, Dan? Banjo-Kazooie was a good movie game.
What?
Oh, Super Mario Brothers. I'm pretty sure that was that awesome movie before it turned into that pretty terrible game franchise.
How dare you? How dare you?
What about that Final Fantasy movie that they turned into a game? That was pretty cool.
Remember that, Hugh?
Fuck you.
As we're talking about games with release dates, another one, Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remaster bundled together. 4th of September it's coming out. It kind of came out of nowhere. Like, it was basically just announced with the release date, which is great.
Yeah,
who's looking forward to this, man?
Everyone born in the 80s and the 90s.
Do you know, I cannot wait for a game of horse. Like, a big online multiplayer game of horse would be fucking awesome.
I remember.
They should have done
absolutely classic game, man.
Oh man, see when they did the release trailer for it, I'm like, okay, I don't care about the graphics. Just tell me about the same soundtrack, and then the last bit of the show was just the soundtrack. I was like,
man, like that is just icing on the cake.
Yeah,
like already looks brilliant. The fact that it's been remastered, the fact that they could get the same old songs, and I'm hoping as well that there is some new songs in there because it'd be quite cool to see, the same people that made the game picking, this generation's worth of songs to be able to go with it. It'd be pretty cool if they've got new songs in with it, but the fact they've still got the old ones, the Power Man 5000, Papa Roach and everything, like.
I think they needed that. Like, see if they didn't have the original soundtrack, everyone would have just played it, muted it, put on Spotify, Tony Hawk soundtrack. It just would not feel the same without it. You know what I mean? But
do you think this is just because they decided to release this for September because of the Skate remaster that's coming out?
Possibly.
Notice that me and Ross didn't know there was a Skate remaster coming out.
Yeah.
Skate is the of all the things to come after Tony Hawk that were deserving to be as good as or better than Tony Hawk. Yeah. Skate definitely had that step that made it. The fact that you could use the controls to make your moves as opposed to just pushing a button, fucking awesome.
I just I was never into skateboarding intensely. I just played the arcade Tony games for it. I had a few pals that were really into the skateboarding, and then when they were playing skate, that was it. They were gone. Never heard from them for weeks or months. They were I was just I was down at unit and I was trying to learn some new tricks, and I just went on the skate and I was just trying to figure it out. I'm like, really? Is it that in depth? He's like, yeah. That your positioning in the board and that. And I'm like, all right, man. Maybe cut down on the weed.
But I think like Hugh says, anyone born in the 80s or even late 80s probably played this or at least one of them. I think it's just an easy pickup, total nostalgia trip, man. I think I'll do pretty well, to be honest.
See, whilst we're on the topic of remasters, remakes, re-releases, did anybody see the Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer is getting a remaster?
No. Yeah,
no.
Man, where have you been?
I haven't been checking Twitter as much lately.
So, Episode 1 Pod Racer, Episode 1 Racer, is due for a remaster. I believe it was meant to be on the Switch and the PS4, but it's been delayed. That's about as much information as I know about it.
Well, it'll be fun. Those games are fun.
I remember going down to the the Namco arcade that's down in London, and we went in to go to the pod racing, and I remember playing pod racing in an arcade, and it was just a regular old driving game, but with pod racers as the theme for it. Yeah, in the Namco arcade, and they literally had a big massive pod that you could sit in. So there was Anakin's pod that you sat in with the two big massive controllers where you pushed like one forward to make it go left and right.
It was so difficult, man. I found that really hard.
It was solid, but it was cool as fuck to sit in this big massive pod, to play the game.
I'd probably find it hard as well because I could never tell, my left from my right.
Awkward laugh. Ha ha ha.
Yes, you're funny, Dom. Yes, that's why we have you on the podcast. But enough about games that aren't out yet. Let's talk about some updates that have been released so far. And we recently had Jedi Fallen Order, which was a free DLC on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Yeah. It was basically just there's a new game plus, and there's some new skins, and there was like combat challenges and stuff like that. Personally, I feel like it came out a bit too late. Obviously, they were waiting for May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you, Star Wars Day. But
I've just got that.
Thank you for explaining that, Hamish.
Thanks for explaining it, mate. Totally. What's the 5th then?
Revenge of the 5th, mate.
He got it.
Shut up.
When things like this come out, it's been months and months since I've played the game. I don't want to go and do like a difficult combat challenge because I can't remember how to play the fucking game.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not going to do well on a combat challenge. Like, release that shit soon after I've just finished the story. You know what I mean?
A sufficient number of hours after the game's been released. So, when did the game come out? How many people have bought it? How long should the main story take them? Then we'll release it, not the fucking following year.
I completely agree with that because then, like again, as you said, Hamish, you're going to not have experience with it. But see, releasing the skins and stuff like that for May 4th, that's a brilliant idea. People will be like, oh man, that'll be awesome, let me see that, and then maybe get back into it. If you've got hype built up for like a DLC pack maybe coming for like an extra level or
where's the story DLC that was promised?
The new content,
coming.
It's coming. It's been a while, and like I love Respawn, they're great, but
coming this
I do not trust Star Wars or EA really.
Yeah. So the former Respawn have came out as a new studio, Gravity Well.
Right. No, like, so who from Respawn is started a new?
Drew McCoy and John Slothy Sterling. The credits on Apex Legends, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Titanfall. They're the ones that have come out with this Gravity Well. So where are we here? A wee second, let's see. We're starting the studio for remote work from the very start. Since one of the core values of Gravity Well is increased diversity, we're excited about not being hamstrung by relocation or work visa issues. We want to hire the best talent in the industry regardless of where you live. So this is obviously coming off the back of COVID-19. So given the current COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that nobody can really work within an office with each other, they're going to start straight off the bat by going, well, we're going to be diverse, we're going to be available for anybody that works anywhere. It's not necessarily going to be that if you can make it into our studio, then you can work with our team. We're going to be the studio regardless of where you are. So that's pretty cool. Want to hire the best talent in the industry regardless of where they live. Animators, artists, engineers, QA, human resource, and IT are the positions that are already available. Starting a new studio because of how we want to make games. One of the founders, Drew McCoy. So
I think it's Andrew McCoy.
It says Drew McCoy. I'm just going by what's quoted here.
Another new DLC that has come out recently is Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. And not only is there quite a lot of new actual content, but we've also got Robocop. Spelled with a K, obviously.
What?
Yeah, Robocop is
with a K?
Mortal Kombat 11. Well,
Noise
no.
in it.
I'm just saying that because it's Mortal Kombat, so we should spell it with a K.
I can't believe
Yeah.
I fucking fell for that.
RoboCop.
Of all the content that they could have fucking put in a fighting game, they put one guy who's never actually fought anybody. He shot lots of people.
Your move, dirtbag.
Fucking.
What's
fuck
wrong with
off.
Robocop?
What's right with him? Like, he's a fucking robot that. He's literally got 1980s fucking dance moves. Like, fuck off. Like,
Well, Dom made a very good point the other day when I was speaking to him. He had Terminator, didn't he?
Yeah, they did that.
yeah.
So, I mean, he's a robot.
Joker. They've got all these other characters that they've got for this game.
I just think that it's just a name. It's literally just a franchise that they want to throw in there to try and hook some more people. It's not. He's not a fighter.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't think
mainstream.
I think that if they wanted to grab somebody, they should have put something like fucking John Wick in it. Like, you put somebody who's actually fought people.
John Wick isn't as famous as Robocop.
Yeah, Robocop
No,
brings
at least he fucking
nostalgia.
fights people.
No, but it brings in nostalgia for it, and see like all the other characters that they've had previously in Mortal Kombat series.
Nostalgia.
It's
When
cheesy.
was Robocop out? When was Robocop out?
84 or something like that.
Right, which is how many years ago?
40 years ago.
It was a while ago, mate.
30, because that's exactly my age. 31.
40 years ago, mate.
Look,
Right.
I know what you're about to say, but Mortal Kombat itself is like 25 years old.
Aye,
And it's just for
I
like.
just
Robocop's a
I don't know.
Buster us, I'm going to be honest, it's just for a bit of fun. Like they'll
Aye,
probably find like,
yeah.
what do we want? We've got Arnie, but not really Arnie in this game.
Do you know what it is? It's another Smash Brothers incident where I just think that there's more plausible candidates for this position.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, but he
There's
may have been
nothing. I
cheap.
suppose there's nothing wrong with RoboCop, but I think RoboCop should have been further down the list of potential playable characters. I don't think that he's a bad choice. I think that if you go by the era and when it came out and the sort of things that might have been around at that time, Judge Dredd or Demolition Man would have been better. I mean, if you want to go with action movies and heroes from those times, what about are we going with the guys for Lethal Weapon?
Like, you've
fucking
just
Robocop.
created a new game.
Yeah.
Super
Super
Smash
the
Bros.
guys are
Action Heroes.
Ross, the guys from Lethal Weapon are too old for that shit.
Hey, that is.
Yeah, look, the one guy
Dom.
we could retirement, right?
Do you know about the DLC for Predator Hunting Ground as well?
It's going to be Arnie in it.
Yeah, nope.
But it's actual Arnie as well.
Yeah, it's like Dutch from the Predator films.
Dutch,
Yeah.
No,
Dutch,
but
yeah.
Arnie's doing his voice.
Is he
Oh, is
actually?
it actually? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's like, wait, he's doing this, but he didn't do Mortal Kombat. It didn't make any sense to me.
He's obviously had some
Maybe
form of
offered them more money,
a
or
better paycheck.
Probably. Gotta be.
I mean, he's not exactly struggling
Maybe
for
they
money.
just,
I don't
maybe,
think.
maybe they just asked him. Maybe they just asked him nicely.
What's in the booth? It's like, yeah, he's in the booth. Ah, that sounds alright. Hey.
Ah!
He's like, hey, you, Predator. I don't like you. Who's that? Sub-Zero. Now you're just plain Zero. You could say that, you know? Fuck it.
That's
Oh.
genius. What they should have had was for a Sub-Zero skin, just Mr. Freeze. Arnie Mr. Freeze instead of Sub-Zero. Kill.
What
I mean, that would tie in with the whole Injustice, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah, the Injustice
See-
had a really good lineup as well, but they had the Ninja Turtles on them as well. So strange.
Hey Dom, I think that you are probably between the four of us the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. So would you mind talking us through the other things apart from RoboCop that's been included in the Aftermath DLC update?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 did like the big update now with Aftermath, which is the new story mode that happens after the story mode with Liu Kang and Raiden. I don't go into spoilers for that because something just happens with them and it's like basically passing of the torch kind of. But Shang Tsung comes out of nowhere and goes, "Yeah, man, let's fuck shit up." And it's just a continuation. Honestly, that's what it is. And you're like,
I can imagine just kind of like
I've literally seen
coming
the
in.
trailer for it.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer for it, and that is literally it. You literally you said the trailer. So
It's just
to
like,
say that there's no
let's fuck
spoilers,
it up.
if anybody's seen any of the footage for the release of this, they've already seen all that, so it's fine. The spoilers have been given by MK themselves.
So they've introduced they've brought back two characters, Shiva,
Yep.
like the lassie that screams like a lot, and Funjin, who's the wind guy, but he's not been in years. I was like, what Mortal Kombat was he in?
It's been a while.
You know as well, who's She-Hulk?
She-Hulk, yeah. What's her name now? no, can't remember her name now. But whatever.
No.
She's in the story, but I don't know if she's like. I think she may have been confirmed, but not releasing this DLC pack yet. She'll probably be like showing. We don't know, obviously. But then obviously with RoboCop being introduced as well as like the big stinger. But what I thought was the bigger stinger at the end of it was that the introduction of friendships coming back. They had Scorpion.
Yeah.
Remember I put in the chat with Scorpion pulling the teddy bear towards him?
Yeah, I like that.
I was one of them though. Is it Kano doing a barbecue?
Yeah, Sub-Zero, ice cream and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
They've also now got stage fatalities as well, so they brought back all the levels like the acid pit from Mortal Kombat 2, where you uppercut them and they just fall into it. So I'm imagining that because Terminator's in this, when you hit him into the acid bath, I just want his hand to go up in the thumb.
Yeah, that would be
needs to happen. If that doesn't happen, I'll be actually raging.
For the people that don't really know, Tom, can you explain what the friendship, facet of it is?
So basically, it's like instead of doing your fatalities to another player, you can do basically what's called friendship, which it just makes them the characters do something goofy. Instead of killing your opponent, they'll give them like a teddy bear, or there was other ones they had before, like babality.
Babality, I remember that.
Yeah.
They were like brutalities, babalities, fatalities.
Brutalities are in the game, which are a lot quicker in these games. From like I think it was MKX. Where you can do a brutality quite quickly and just knock off their head in like round 1, and then that ends the game because you've just knocked off their head. How do you continue?
What about what was the other one where they turn into the animal?
Alamanity.
Animal.
Bestiality.
Some of them, I didn't think a lot of them were real. I thought a lot of them were just people taking the piss. Like babality and stuff. I thought, oh no, that's someone just taking the piss out of like fatalities and stuff like that. But no. All real.
I can remember Liu Kang's, his funny one that he did was he dropped a Mortal Kombat cabinet on top of you. Yeah. You're like, alright, I guess. But it looks interesting, this DLC, but then I think I was saying to you the last time when we were talking about it that it was really disappointing, the game. Like I had issues with it, because again, it was all to do with time travel and there was all these issues, and as I said, Shang Tsung comes and fucks shit up, and you're like, the story's kind of confusing as it is. Like, what are you actually trying to achieve from this? I got rid of my MK11 though.
You tried it?
I don't know. Yeah, ages ago. But
I do remember you saying that there were some issues with the story that you weren't a fan of.
But it's going to come out a lot cheaper with all the previous DLC plus this DLC.
What are they going to
well.
call it? Because I know they had MKX and then they called it MKXL. Like, what play on words are they going to do now?
Well, no, it's called MK11 Aftermath.
Yeah, I think like the expansion itself costs about £35 or £40 with like all the other DLC. But if you don't have Mortal Kombat 11, I believe you can buy the whole thing, like the original game, the expansion, and all the DLC for about £50, which isn't bad when you consider that it's got the base game with it as well. Is this update enough for you to get the game again, Dom?
I don't know, because like the gameplay itself was a bit looser than it was before. Like for fighting games, you need them to be quite, responsive for it. The online was pretty solid up to a point, and then just kind of fell on its arse. I don't know if it's because I was playing it on the Xbox. But in my house, like when you're doing any sort of competitive gaming, you need to have it wired in, and at the time I didn't have it wired in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just because I'm using Wi-Fi, and it's just my reason. That's the reason why. Most likely that's the reason. I would possibly get it maybe after the rest of the DLC characters come out, because again I played the initial story and I've played the majority of the characters, and I'm not really willing to spend another £50 just for an extra couple of characters, and then probably more of a confusing story. But I'm interested to see how the arcade ending of RoboCop would go.
Hugh, tell me this: if you were able to predict or to add a character to the DLC to the Mortal Kombat 11 universe, who would it be?
I would want to add maybe the Injustice characters. Like
one character, Hugh. Don't get greedy. You pick a character.
Fucking Batman.
You want Batman in Mortal Kombat 11?
Maybe.
Yeah, see that? That's not bad.
I quite like crossovers. I'm quite into the crossovers. I like the DC Mortal Kombat, even though the game wasn't the best. It was the start of it was like their prototype before they got to MK9.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed like the SNK Capcom stuff. So like just like if you could take like Kazuya or Jin or someone from Tekken and put them in Mortal Kombat, that'd be pretty cool as well. Or Ryu or Ken, like that would be the same thing from Street Fighter. Like,
Yeah, just interesting.
Yeah, just crossovers from other fighting games would be cool.
Yeah, I think that's always exciting too. What about you, Ross?
Deadpool. I think Deadpool would be a brilliant character to introduce into Mortal Kombat. I know they've already got their dealings with DC, but I think that if they would introduce some of the Marvel characters, I think that would be a cool crossover. I think that Wolverine would play a really good part.
That's cool.
Part.
Either one of them. Like, they've got the skills, they've got the the health and stuff. Obviously, with their regen abilities, I could absolutely see that.
I think that the ones would have really good. I think that the self awareness of Deadpool in it would add some humour to what can be quite a serious game.
I can imagine him and Johnny Cage getting on.
That'd be cool.
I basically a reskin of Johnny Cage to a degree, but he's basically just.
I don't think we'll ever get
that good nipples.
I don't want to ruin your dreams, mate, but I don't think we'll ever get that because Warner Bros. Owns DC and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get the crossover with Marvel anymore.
But the question wasn't a realistic.
I know.
Who could definitely be that? I'm just saying that a person that would be good within that environment would be the likes of
picked something good and had to shoot it down.
Warner Brothers, fucking Bugs Bunny. There you go.
The guy from Shadow of Mordor. That's actually
guy.
pretty
It's not his name, just the guy.
That guy.
What's his name? Tamriel? Something like that.
No, that's a fucking location, mate. Tamriel was in fucking Skyrim.
No.
Talion is his name.
Talion, yeah. Dom, what about yourself? If you could choose a character, who would you put in the Mortal Kombat 11 DLC?
If I could, I would say see Ash from Evil Dead.
He was already speculated as being the next. So before RoboCop, that was the sort of fan
I was
favourite.
about to say that I did see a Twitter feed or the Ash vs Evil Dead TV series comment about it, and the last time that something like that happened was Spawn. So but then soon I was like, no, that'd be awesome. Imagine Ash with the chainsaw, having
the boomstick.
They've already got the assets with Arnie because he comes out. Where his, I think it's a special, he's unblockable. But there was who else would I say was good for that?
Predator was a character, wasn't he? And
Predator was in the last one, so was Alien.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So is Freddy Krueger, he's been in it, Kratos has been in it, there's been loads from there. If it was any sort of one from any sort of genre, I would like to see if they could get maybe Aloy. She would be nice to have a different sort of one from. I would see for just craziness. What I would like to see in Mortal Kombat, I would love to see Mike Tyson. Just imagine a boxer just him.
The problem you'd have with that though is that it'd be too close to what's the one that's on the Xbox, and they've got the guy that looks like Tyson, Killer Instinct. They've got the boxing guy. He's modelled right after Tyson.
So is Balrog from Street Fighter, because he was meant to be M. Bison, Mike Tyson.
You'd be too close to those,
That's true. But then, you can still use his name as Mike Tyson. People still go as Mike Tyson.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe do you know what? Fulgor from Killer Instinct would be a good idea to have in Mortal Kombat. See the robot from
I have no knowledge of Killer Instinct whatsoever, man.
Yeah.
I never played that.
That's a good one. Or Glacier. He would be a good sort of one for it, the ice guy from. But then him and Sub-Zero would be just too friendly with each other.
Tasmanian Devil.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Marvin the Martian. Oh, this makes me very angry.
I loved Marvin the Martian, man. He was badass.
There's supposed to be a kaboom.
That's a really good Marvin Martian. That's very accurate.
What about yourself, Hamish?
I think if I had to choose someone I would love to see, it's never going to happen, but Darth Vader. Just, and you've got that mix of people like magic users like Quan Chi or Shinnok or something like that, obviously using the Force, basically magic. But then, with the sword play of, like, some of the variations of Scorpion and stuff like that's had swords, and obviously they had Vader in one of the Soul Calibur games.
Yep.
But
The Star Wars characters, some Star Wars characters.
So, just having a wee quick look through, I was curious as to what Warner Brothers actually had like the rights to games for.
Oh my god, here we go.
I had 2005 with the Matrix Online, so you could, if you still want
Neo
in there, right?
Oh god.
Friends, the one with the trivia.
Oh my god. He's like Chandler, he's like, could I see any more Mortal Kombat?
After a fatality, could I be any more dead?
300 March to Glory, so you'd have fucking.
Oh yeah, let's get Leonidas in. Just all he can do is Sparta kick. Just that's all he can do. But as long as you hit it, it's a fatality. He kicks him off the arena.
That's quality.
Umpteen Looney Tunes video games, the Lego series. Imagine Lego Batman in a fucking Mortal Kombat game.
Get Emmett in there, man.
See if you get like cartoon characters, they defy the laws of physics. Obviously, video game characters generally do anyway. But I mean, Bugs Bunny, really, if you looked at it, would beat any one of them. Because even if he got his spine ripped out, he would just appear behind him and tap a guy on the shoulder like, yeah, what's up, Doc? And then throw him down a hole or something like that. He could not lose.
They've already done the franchise with DC, and you've already got the Injustice and everything else, so we know that they've got Batman and whatnot and all the other DC characters. There's also Scooby-Doo's First Frights, so
my god, Shaggy in there. Oh my god, yeah.
Ultra Instinct.
He just runs away constantly and he shows up in different doors.
Scoob!
Oh my! Oh jeez! Oh.
Right there!
Ross, you were more Morty.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Oh jeez, Rick.
Get Rick. Rick in Mortal Kombat confirmed.
Rick again. I mean, he would never lose. You know what I mean? Like, they just make a portal to cut you in half or something like that.
Another series that Warner Brothers have is the Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah.
So you could have like Aragorn and fucking Legolas, Gimli.
Oh my god, man.
See, to be fair, they're pretty, like, Aragorn and Legolas specifically, they're totally superhuman. You could probably get away with that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, move, you're taking the hobbits.
Dolphin Tail. Sesame Street, Once Upon a Monster. Fucking.
Mate, this isn't Warner Bros. Don't release good games, do they? Most of the time.
Happy Feet.
There you go.
Fucking penguin.
Penguin.
Yeah, Bastion. Bastion's another one that's pretty cool, but again, I don't really know. That's too much a cartoony character to be able to bring into this. You need somebody that could be at least Harry Potter for Kinect.
Oh my god.
Get over here!
I mean, people at Harry Potter, they're glass cannons. Like, they could probably do a lot of damage with their spells, but as soon as, Raiden grabs Harry Potter, it's like, I'm just gonna blow you up with lightning. Like, it's done. It's not gonna go anyway.
Any last words, Harry? Livio Solo.
Warner Brothers have the Lego Marvel series, so they do have something over Marvel to a degree.
Lego Spider-Man. I'd like that.
They could have Lego Wolverine and Lego Deadpool.
Yeah.
Even Spider-Man would probably do pretty well, man. He's strong as fuck. He's good. Like,
have you seen Marvel v Capcom ones where he go web ball, web swing, and just
he's get precognition with his spider sense. He can, shoot webs. He does whatever spider does.
A computer game series that we've overlooked.
Oh no, what is it? Don't say
The Witcher.
Oh, which?
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
But Geralt's already in Soul Calibur.
But Geralt was a
Seems
thing. Ross is right. Geralt would be pretty good in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. And the good thing about Geralt is that you just introduce him the same way that you did in Soul Calibur. He just comes through a portal and he's like, man, I fucking hate portals. And then he just starts fighting people. Like, yeah. Can't do any wrong.
I still need to play The Witcher.
Hugh, you need to get your fucking life together, mate.
I know. Do you know what it is, man? It's the length of it. They just keep... you're going to edit this.
I was so hoping you'd finish that sentence.
It's the length of that game that always seems to put me off, even though I play long games all the time.
Game of Thrones Conquest is another one that's in there, so they get a fucking Game of Thrones characters in it as well. Hitman, Warner Brothers has a Hitman series, fucking Agent 47.
See people like a Mountain, pretty superhuman in the books and that, so especially when he's brought back from the dead, so you can maybe get away with that. But
then he lifted 501 kilos.
Yeah,
quite easily.
I know.
Yeah. Copycat.
Diddy, but Mad Max was another character that Warner Brothers the rights to as well. Mad Max in that world could be interesting.
I've got a character that you would all love to play, Mario.
Just a tiny, a midget plumber.
Mario wouldn't last a minute. Luigi.
Luigi. Yeah.
Mad Max would. Mad Max is just a human with like a shotgun, mate.
So?
Mario would
what the fuck's Sonya? What's Johnny Cage?
Mario would come out and his Tanuki
They don't even have shotguns, so.
Mario would come out in his walkie.
His Tanuki suit and just spin his way across.
These fucking with his plunger, like fuck you guys.
Aye, but no,
suck the fucking skull out of people.
He's got fireballs. He jumps on people's heads and they get crushed. Like,
see when he gets hit back, he goes, "Oh!"
He sharpened the plunger into a shiv, through the eyeball.
I like this.
Sorry. Anyway, moving on.
Right, guys, that wraps us up for this episode of the Patches In podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I want to thank my good friends Hugh.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Dom.
See you later, guys.
And Ross.
Yeah, she's all there.
And I've been Hamish. Thanks again for tuning in. See you on the next one. Good night. Sound like a fucking game show host or something like good night. I don't know when people are going to listen to this shit.
See the last one.
Good night. It's 2 in the afternoon. Good night. Go to bed.
Your move, dirtbag.